on the record at 10:03 a.m. and this is the videotaped deposition of Chris Davis on August 17, 2012. Will counsel please introduce themselves?
This is John Griffith for the defendant, Jake Lockhart.
Phil Davidson for the plaintiff, Chris Davis.
And will the court reporter please swear in the witness?
Raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Morning, sir. Would you state your name for the record, please, sir?
Chris Davis.
And what's your current address, please, sir?
81 Florence Street, McEwen, Tennessee, 37101.
And tell us everybody who lives there with you at that address, please.
Me, my wife, my children.
Okay. And I just want to get a little bit of background about you and this regarding yourself. You grew up in McEwen, is that right, or Waverly?
Waverly.
You graduated high school what year?
86.
Okay. And after you graduated, tell us about your educational background after that.
I went to Murray State for approximately a year and a half. Went to Middle Tennessee State University for about approximately a year and a half.
Did you get degrees at Murray State or MTSU?
No, sir.
All right. And then any other college education after the MTSU?
Yes, went part-time to Austin Peay State University on some just part-time classes.
Okay. Did you get any type of degree from Austin Peay?
No, about 30 hours short of my bachelor's.
All right. And what's the last year that you attended college?
Ooh. I don't know, Mr. Griffin.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and look.
Okay. Let's talk about your work history after high school. Can you share that with us? Well, before I ask you that, I'm sorry. Have you told us all of the college education that you've had in your lifetime? I'm not talking about work-related type of training classes, but just college.
Pretty close to that. There's something else I can't think of it. I did attend, I think, an English class or something across the summer, one summer through the high school down here.
Okay.
I don't know what school that would have been through. Maybe Martin. I don't know. I don't remember that.
All right. Tell me about your work history, please, sir, after high school, please, sir.
My work history after high school?
Yes, sir.
I started with the sheriff's office. I started with Walmart. After high school, went to work with Walmart here in Waverly for a little while. Started there. After a short time there, I went to work with the sheriff's office as a dispatcher, jailer, part-time while I was in school.
Do you remember what year that was?
I don't recall.
Was it shortly after high school?
Yeah, probably within a year.
Okay.
Went back to college. Worked at Walmart in Murfreesboro. Worked at Wicks Lumber Company in Murfreesboro. Come back to Frisk County. Worked with, let's see, I got married in '89. I'm trying to keep my timeline. Started with the city of Dixon County in '89. Started with the city of Dixon in '90.
Okay. What was your position in 1989 with Dixon County? Or
Jailer.
Dixon?
Corrections.
All right. And then what was your position in 90?
City. When I went to the city of Dixon, that's when I became a patrolman.
All right. Patrol. All right. When you worked with the sheriff's office, prior to 1990, did you work with the sheriff's office in Humphreys County?
Yes.
Who was the sheriff that you worked for at that time?
Ronnie Tungiat.
Okay. All right. How many years before you worked for the city of Dixon did you work for Ronnie Tungiat?
On and off, maybe 2.
Okay. All right. Since 1990, can you tell us where you've worked, sir?
Worked with the city of Dixon until 1998. Worked with state of Tennessee from 98 to 99. Worked Dixon County 99 to elected in 06.
Okay. From 1999 to 2006, you worked for Dixon County. Is that accurate?
99, 2000, somewhere right in that area is when I was hired back.
Dixon County.
Yes, sir.
Or you patrolman?
No, narcotics.
Okay. All right. All right. 2006 through, when's your term end, sir?
Ended in 2010 when I was elected from 06. Current term ends in 14.
Okay. Do you plan on running for re-election? If you know.
I don't know yet.
Okay. All right. You said you're married in 1989 to whom, please?
Daphne, Daphne Ella Davis.
Okay.
Well,
And
Lynn
y'all-
Peak.
Have you been married to Daphne ever since?
Yes.
Have you ever been separated during that time?
Yes.
Can you tell us when you've been separated?
Let me object to the form. Go ahead.
You gonna make me? I can't tell you dates on that.
Years.
Somewhere around 93, maybe.
Okay. Any other time since 93?
Yeah,
No.
object to the form.
You can object. You can answer.
Not that I remember.
Okay. All right. You have children?
Yes.
How many, sir?
3.
What are their names and ages currently, please, sir?
David, 22. Daniel, 16. Aaron, 15. ERAN.
Aaron's 15.
Correct.
Where do they reside currently?
David's a student.
Where?
College, Tusculum, Greenville.
Okay.
Daniel and Aaron home.
Okay. Where do they go to school?
Daniel, Ensworth, Aaron, McEwen.
Is Ensworth in Nashville?
It is.
How does Daniel get to school every day?
He drives.
Okay. Is that a private school?
It is.
Is it expensive private school?
It is.
Do you know the tuition per year there?
I do not.
Do you not pay it?
No. We get scholarship.
Okay. Is it a scholarship based on grades or athletics?
We just apply for it and get a
Okay.
scholarship.
Okay.
Academic funding, or
That's
whatever
good.
you want to call it.
All right. You have filed this lawsuit against Jake Lockhart for defamation to your character. You understand that, correct?
I'm assuming that.
Well, you filed it, so. What's your understanding of why you filed this lawsuit?
Because he lied.
Okay. All right. Do you understand that when you claim that there's a damage to your reputation and character, that you put your character and reputation at issue? Do you understand that?
Okay.
Are you okay with me asking questions about your personal reputation and character from your perspective?
My personal life or my professional life?
Well, your
Let me
reputation.
interjection. You've mischaracterized what his complaint says.
Okay. Well,
He stands whatever the complaint says. The complaint says is that you damaged his professional reputation. It doesn't talk about his personal reputation or anything like that.
okay. Do you claim that Jake Lockhart has damaged your personal reputation?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. and your professional reputation, correct?
Did you say personal or professional?
I said personal.
Professional.
Your professional reputation.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you tell us all the ways that Jake Lockhart has damaged your personal reputation?
His
Your
lies.
professional reputation.
His lies, his constant lies.
Okay. Well, let's start with the first lie, the big lie that you would, if you had to rank them in order of importance. Let's start with the first one.
Probably what the complaint was filed on.
And what's your understanding of what the complaint was filed on?
Complaint was filed on that he misrepresented the fact that I was on the scene of the Darren Ring incident that night, and I was in fact not. During the altercation of the deputies.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about that. What else do you allege, if anything else, that Jake Lockhart has done to damage your professional reputation, in addition to your allegations that he lied about your whereabouts at the time of the Darren Ring beating?
Say that question again, Mr. Gray.
I hear what you say as far as your allegations of what of what Jake Lockhart alleged you did at the scene. Are there any other allegations that you're making that have damaged your professional reputation in addition to your saying that he lied about you being at the scene? Is there anything else?
Well, he's put everything in a false light. I mean, he's portrayed everything in this situation as a false light in regards to me. He said things and put things out there before he got the whole facts of any of the situation.
Okay. Well, everything in a false light is a pretty broad category, and I want to break that down a little bit. I'm trying to make a list of everything that you claim that he's done to damage your professional reputation. I've got number one, that he said you were at the scene of the Darren Ring beating, and you say that you were not.
Right.
What's the second thing that he's done that's damaged your reputation or portrayed you in a false light?
Every time that something was done about the Ring case, he promoted me in a bad light, saying that I was in the cell. And took some inappropriate actions in the cell, which I did not.
Okay.
Best I remember, he was on Channel 4 News with that.
Okay. All right. So the second thing I've got is that Jake Lockhart said that you were in a cell at Darren Ring and took inappropriate actions, using your words, in a cell. Is that correct?
That's what he said.
Okay. Tell us the third thing, if there is one, that you you claim that he damaged your professional reputation. If there is.
He put it out there that, and this may have already been, I may have already said this, reported that I was on the scene and took no action to stop the altercation.
Okay. Okay.
And he took the disregard for the truth in that matter.
Okay. Okay. I think that we covered that in the first one. I think that's allegations of not being at the scene, or allegations of you being at the scene when you claim you're not. Mm-hmm. Number two is in the cell and took inappropriate actions when Darren Ring was in the cell. Is there anything else in which you're claiming in your lawsuit that Jake Lockhart said or did that damages your professional reputation?
That's pretty much the sum of this complaint. I think that's
Okay.
it in the whole.
And I appreciate you looking at the complaint and refreshing your memory with that, but I want to ask you, outside of the complaint, is there anything that you may come up with next week that's not in the complaint, that's already transpired, that you want to add to your complaint about Jake Lockhart's alleged defaming your professional reputation?
I'm going to reserve comment on that for me and my attorney.
Okay. So you don't want to...
Let me object to the form. Go ahead. I'm objecting to the form of the question.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, this is the only time I have to talk to you for our trial in this case, Sheriff Davis, and I want to know, can you tell me and the jury and that camera right there what other allegations you're making, if any, about Jake Lockhart against your professional reputation?
When I have time to review more of the material that's been put out there, I'll feel comfortable answering it then.
Okay. Today's date is August 17th, 2012. You filed this in April 4th of 2012 about allegations that occurred on March 7th, I think. Is there anything that's prohibited you from thinking about it before today?
Let me object to the form. Counsels.
You can object to the form. I appreciate you not doing speaking objections. Those are unethical. And you can object to the form, and I respect that. So I want to ask you to answer the question, is there anything that's prohibited you from thinking about that with your attorney's objection noted?
I mean,
Wait a minute. I'm objecting to the form because, as you well know, that question is sort of misleading because we showed up once before for depositions in this case and nobody was here, and we had a notice of depositions filed.
Yes, sir. That is
Now,
correct.
we never did anything in that. So if you're asking him, the question you're asking, did he ever have a chance to think about these things before? We were here to do that once before, and nobody showed up. So I'm objecting to the form of the question in that respect. Go ahead and answer if you want to.
Okay.
say the
So
question.
you've had extra time since you've had extra time to think about this case since we were set to be here before, correct?
We have, but there's so much that's being discussed and every day about this case by Mr. Lockhart and others that it takes time to review the material and get caught up.
Okay. So I take it that as you sit here right now, there's nothing else that you can tell us in addition to those two things that has affected your professional relationship or your professional reputation that you know of as you sit here right now, correct?
I can't think of anything at this moment. No.
Okay.
But
All right.
there's material still to be reviewed.
Okay. What material is still to be reviewed?
I'd rather not disclose that.
Okay. Is there some material you have that you haven't disclosed to us that you think is pertinent to this case?
Not that I know of right now.
Okay. Is there any reason that you've chosen to not disclose that with us?
I'd reserve that right for my attorney and I.
Okay. All right. All right. Is there a time that you think you'll have a chance to discuss this? Like how much time would you
if
need?
that material exists or comes up and it in fact proves to be pertinent to the case, I definitely don't mind notifying you of it.
Okay. You said if the material exists. So as you say that, you haven't reviewed the material. You don't even know if it exists.
I haven't reviewed all the material yet.
Okay. Is there a box of material somewhere that you are waiting to review?
I've got to get my hands on some of it, yeah.
Where is it right now? Do you know?
It's printed, or trying to be printed. I try to keep up with it.
Who's trying to print it? You said it's trying to be printed.
Yeah, I try to keep up with it as every day.
Where is it coming from?
My family prints it.
Okay. Do you know where they print it from?
I do not.
Okay. Is it like Facebook or something? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything specifically that sticks out in your mind of Facebook?
No, not right now.
Okay. Sheriff, how many officers do you have that work under you currently, sir?
20. Well, full time. Right at 20 and a part time.
Okay. And officers that work full time, do they normally work 8-hour days?
Correct.
Okay. And they're paid obviously through the county, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when they're working for you, do they have to log in like their time and things like that?
I would make the assumption, yes.
I mean, you're,
Yeah, they
you're
do.
the boss. I just
They
saying,
do.
You know. Okay.
They do.
And do they work full 8-hour days? Do they work 7-hour days or 7.5-hour days, or do you know?
8-hour shifts is what they usually work.
Okay. All right. And they log. Do you call it comp time? Is that what you guys call it?
Comp time?
What is comp time? Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. What about it?
Is that comp? What does comp stand for? Compensation?
It's time that they've worked overtime that they will be compensated for.
Okay. All right. Do you ever have your employees, or have you ever had an employee log in extra time that they didn't work during the course of your professional conduct as sheriff of Humphreys County?
Log in comp time that they've not worked.
Yeah. knowing they work like 7.5 hours, but you have them log in 8. Has that
Let me
ever
object
happened?
to the form of this question, and also on the grounds of relevance to this case.
We're talking about his professional reputation, counselor, and these are things that may affect his professional reputation.
I don't have a clue what you're talking about, Mr. Griffith.
Okay. So your testimony is you've never asked anybody to log in extra time over above the time they've actually worked. Is that correct?
Over and above the time that they've actually worked?
Yes, sir.
I wouldn't have a clue what you're talking about, Mr. Griffith.
Okay. All right. That's fine. When you ran for office in 2006, did you have anybody assist you in running your campaign?
Yeah,
Did you have officers, treasurers, things like that?
I did.
Who was your treasurer?
For a short time, it was Lim Paul.
Okay. Did Lynn Paulk contribute to your campaign?
He did some.
Did Scotty Paulk contribute to your campaign?
Not that I ever remember.
Okay. Has Scotty Paulk ever paid you money
No.
for any other reasons?
No.
Okay. Would you agree that you have the duty to uphold the law and administer the law equally to all citizens regardless of race, creed, color, origin, things like that?
I would.
Would you agree that you have the duty to administer and uphold justice and administer the law equally to all persons regardless of whether they've worked for your campaign?
Correct.
You would agree with that?
Correct.
Okay. Has anybody that's ever worked for your campaign been the subject of an investigation by the Humphreys County Sheriff's Department?
Lemuel Paul.
Mr. Lynn Paulk?
Mhm.
And tell us the circumstance where Mr. Lynn Paulk was investigated, or was subject of an investigation.
I know that he was investigated by the drug guys that we had at one time, and I think they eventually made an arrest on him.
Okay. Would you agree that as Humphreys County Sheriff, you have the responsibility to investigate all allegations of theft or fraud equally, regardless, or as aggressively as each other person alleged to? Let me ask that again. It's a terrible question. Would you agree that as Sheriff of Humphreys County that you have the responsibility to investigate all causes, all allegations of fraud and theft without interruption from the sheriff's office?
Say that again.
Check to the form. Go ahead.
Say that again. I'm not following you on that, John.
Okay. That's
Mr.
fine.
Griffith, I'm
No,
sorry.
you don't- I don't care. Sheriff, would you agree that you have the responsibility to investigate all allegations of theft that come to the department's attention?
Yes.
Okay. Would you agree that it would be improper for the sheriff's department to impede an investigation or delay an investigation intentionally without cause?
Impede or...
Would you agree that it would be improper for your office to obstruct the investigation into theft or theft of property?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Was it ever brought to your attention by any member of your staff that there were allegations that Lynn Paulk had stolen items upon his property?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do anything? Who brought that to your attention?
I don't remember that.
Okay. Do you remember any circumstances surrounding that investigation?
I remember that there was some information about a stolen trailer, and we actually, Ronnie Tonguehead and I actually went out and looked at that trailer and made a recovery
Okay.
of that trailer.
All right. Was there any delay in the investigation, or to your knowledge?
Was there a delay?
Yes, sir.
I don't have a clue. I mean, I don't know why I don't know what you're asking. Was there a delay? We had the information. I got with Ronnie Tonguehead, who was the detective at that time, and we went out there.
Okay. What is Ronnie Tonguehead's title? What do you call him?
Now he's court officer,
All right. What was it at the time of this Lynn Paulk investigation?
detective.
Okay. Did Ronnie Tungat, as a detective into this Lim Park investigation, did he urge you to get some type of warrant to search the property?
I don't, you're talking something that was, what, 5 years ago? I don't have a clue.
I don't know. How
I
long.
mean, that would have been their decision to have done that. Whoever was investigating the case. I personally don't tell guys to go get warrants or apply for warrants or whatever. I mean, I figured that if the warrant needed to be done, he would have the knowledge on how to do it.
Okay. So you leave it to the detective as far as how to handle the investigation. You don't take any role in that. Is that accurate?
I mean, I stay involved in CID cases as far as trying to get the direction and stuff going on some of the cases now, but I don't ever remember doing that with Ronnie, because he pretty much knows what to do.
Okay. Do you ever ask an investigator to halt or stop their investigation and you take over an investigation? Do you ever do that?
Object to the form.
I don't know that I've ever done that. No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't remember ever doing that.
Okay. All right. Have you ever been involved in the arrest of Scotty Park?
Have I ever been involved in an arrest of Scotty Paulk?
Yes.
I know that there was a search on the car. I know there was an incident in Dixon, but I don't remember if that was him that was arrested on that. I remember Russell stopping him and arresting him in Dixon. I remember him being in rehab and trying to get him to turn himself in the next day. As far as an actual physical arrest, I don't. That's too much time under the. I don't
Okay.
remember a physical arrest of him.
All right. Did you, back to this Lim Park incident, did you ever ask Ronnie Tungat or tell Ronnie Tungat to not making a call or making a report on stolen property, to the best of your knowledge?
Ever tell him not to make a report on it?
Or to delay?
I don't.
If you don't, if you remember.
I don't remember that. I don't know what
Okay.
it would be referring to. I remember that there was a call made to. We actually tried to. I think Randy Robinson or something maybe have come down and looked at that trailer, or one of the state guys, or we even backtracked. I thought through one of the Lowe's or somewhere to try to confirm where it was stolen from.
Okay. All right. And I'm sorry if I've already asked this. Outside of your campaign, has Lim Park or Scotty Park paid you money for any reason? Bought anything or loaned you money or anything like that?
Never loaned me money. Scotty's never bought me anything that I remember. Or I don't. The only thing that I can remember, the only thing that I can ever remember from Lim was a cookout that we had at the Elks Lodge. It was a fundraiser in '06, and we had some shoulders, and he had a list of six or 10 people. I mean, he had a list of people that wanted shoulders for the campaign. I mean, from the barbecue.
Okay.
We was out at the Mason Lodge out at Cotton Valley one night, and they was having a little auction, and he had bought some baked goods, like some cookies and stuff, and
Okay.
it turned right around and told me to give them to some kids and stuff that was there. I don't.
Okay. All right. And those are the only times that you ever remember having any monetary interaction with Lim or Scotty Park, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Who's Bill DePrincipe? Bill DePrincipe, do you know him?
Bill DePrincipe?
Is that a name that you recognize? Del Principal, or did you never recognize that name?
Principe. I do recognize that name. He was stopped or something in Dixon County not long ago.
Okay. All right, let me ask you this: are you authorized to drive? Do you have any restrictions on when you can use county vehicles?
I use my car.
Do you
I'm
have
on call
any?
24/7. I mean, I use.
Okay.
I'm on.
Are you? Is it ethical for you to use your vehicle for personal errands?
I'm on call 24/7.
Okay. All right. All right. Have you ever been involved in using your car and attending poker games before?
Poker games?
Yeah. I'm just asking the question. I don't know.
A poker game?
Yeah.
I don't.
If you don't, you don't. I mean, I'm not saying you have. I just want asking the question.
Poker game? I don't. I would. I can't. I can't think of anything on that.
So, to the best of your memory, you haven't used a government vehicle to play in any poker games, or to go to somewhere to play poker.
Not that I know of, Mr. Griffith. I don't.
Okay. All right. All right. Were you finished with your answer?
You've got me. I don't even remember playing poker, but
Okay. That's. I'm just asking the question. Have you ever bought motors at Fort Campbell, boat motors, before?
have I ever bought motors?
At Fort Campbell before?
Bought motors.
Any boat motors?
I have never bought a motor at Fort Campbell.
Okay. Have you ever had any interaction with a boat motor?
Yes.
Tell me the circumstances.
We
of that.
got boat motors through DRMO,
What's DRMO stand for?
Department of. I don't know what DRMO stands for, but it's military surplus equipment that is used. Allow public agency, government agencies are allowed to get it. Well, I guess it'd be law enforcement are allowed to get it for use.
Okay. On behalf of Humphreys County, did the Humphreys County Sheriff Department purchase any boat motors?
Did we purchase them? No.
What did you do with them?
I mean, we've got them. They're
They were given to you.
given to us.
Okay. And are you supposed to use those for county purposes?
We can use those for county purposes in that.
Okay. Can you use them for personal purposes?
A personal purpose?
Yeah. I mean, can you like give it away to somebody or sell it or do anything with it?
I know that we've given some to the rescue squad.
Okay.
I've given one to Bobby Arnold, who is on call, and it's not to be used for personal use.
Who's Bobby Arnold?
It is the assistant chief of New Johnsonville Police Department, Jeff Arnold's father. And he signed he's on call for any river. He knows the river, and he's on call for us, and signed a form stating that motor, he knows that motor is not to be used for personal.
How much is the boat motor? What type of boat motor is it? Do you know?
It's an OMC. I don't.
Is it like an outboard type motor?
Yeah.
How many of these motors was the sheriff department able to obtain from DRMO?
I'd have to go back and look, Mr. Griffith.
Is it more than 5?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it was somewhere around 15.
Bobby Arnold, you said, is the father of the assistant chief of New Johnsonville. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is he a paid law enforcement officer?
No.
He's on call for what purpose?
and to help and aid and assist in river rescues because he knows the river and water extremely well.
Okay. How many times in the last 2 years have you called Bobby Arnold to be on call, or have you utilized his on-call status?
Haven't had the opportunity to.
Okay. Well,
Pretty much turned that over to. Pretty much have turned that over to the fire department now.
okay. How did you make the deal to give it to Bobby Arnold? I mean, how did that
Check to the foreman
how did
commission.
that transpire? Where you get this motor on behalf of Humphreys County, and it's transferred to Bobby Arnold?
Well, we have we at the time when I guess we got them, we was doing a lot of river rescues. We've done probably recoveries and rescues. We've probably done close to I'd say 10 pretty quick there at one time. And I knew Bobby knew the water. I didn't know if he was attached to, I don't remember him being attached to Benton County Rescue Squad. And sometime during that time period.
Did you say he is part of the rescue squad?
I don't think he is. I don't know if he was at the time or if he is, but I don't think he is.
Did you give any motors to the rescue squad?
Here local?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What other non-government entities, if any, in addition to Bobby Arnold, were motors transferred to? Non-governmental entities or persons,
As far as what?
as far as boat motors?
I mean, as far as when you say non-government, are you talking about rescue squads?
Well, whatever you consider. Yeah, I'm talking rescue squads.
Us, Benton County, Kingston. Well, Kingston Springs is a government entity. Benton County Rescue Squad.
Is there some type of like paperwork that confirmed this transfer of this boat motor to Bobby Arnold?
There is.
And that was what was the agreement called that you said?
It's just an agreement that it's on file at the department.
Okay. And he's not supposed to use it. He's supposed to use it only for governmental purposes.
Yeah, it's us.
Okay. And do you know how long ago that was?
I'd have to get the date on it.
The year? Do you know what
I
year?
don't remember.
But to the best of your knowledge, you've never asked him to use the boat for governmental purposes.
Hadn't had the opportunity in that sense that we've had to have it.
So therefore, if he's keeping his end of the bargain, the motor should still be pretty much unused.
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right. What do you do with confiscated items, like four-wheelers and things like that? What do you do with those?
Confiscated four-wheelers,
Yes, sir.
put them back to use.
How?
I mean, used within the department.
Okay. All right. Do you take them home with you?
There have been, yes.
Okay.
I let the detectives. I let the detectives like Wesley Hagler. He's on call. They have been utilized before. Most of the time by the detectives.
Okay. So if you have confiscated items such as four-wheelers, you'll allow your detectives to take them to their personal residence, correct?
Yeah, if they're on call, I mean, we're on call. We have to go to marijuana. We've used them for drugs. We've used them to get dead bodies out of the woods. We've used them for find people. We've used them to people on property.
Are there any four-wheelers that you guys have as part of the drug task force that are kept at a public facility?
Drug task force.
Well, does the sheriff department own any four-wheelers that it's got at its ready use and disposal that are not kept at personal residence, that are kept at a public facility?
Yes.
Where is that?
There's one. I saw the Honda yesterday just at the training center.
Okay, all right. And so that's always kept at a public facility.
I'm not gonna say always,
Okay. But
I mean,
primarily.
it's they're made to where they're readily accessible by the detectives or whomever needs them when they need them.
How, in the course of your being sheriff since 2006, how many four-wheelers have been confiscated through the Humphreys County Sheriff's Department's efforts have been at your personal residence? Would you say?
I mean, or when you say in my personal residence, have I brought them home?
Yes.
There's been 2. I mean, we usually carry them 2 at a time on a trailer.
Okay. And how many have gone to, how many four-wheelers that have been confiscated through the efforts of the Humphreys County Sheriff's Department that have been taken to either officers or investigators' homes, personal residence, would you estimate?
I don't think that we've ever had more than 2.
Okay. Two per investigator, or 2 total that
2
circulate?
total. I don't think that we've ever had 2 total.
Do you have some at your house now?
No.
Where were the ones that were there before?
The ones that were there before.
Well, you said you had 2 that were at your personal residence.
That's the 2 that I'm talking about. That's in the department. I think Detective Hagler has one now that he's utilizing for eradication.
Okay.
And the other one is at the training center.
Okay. Do you ever let your children ride those four-wheelers?
My son's rode it before.
Okay. Yeah. Are there any ethical rules that govern the private use, personal use of confiscated items such as four-wheelers?
Are you saying is it unethical to let my son ride a four-wheeler?
No, sir, that's not the question I asked, but you can answer that question if you want to.
Ask your question again, Mr.
The
Griffin.
question was, are there any ethical rules that govern the use of confiscated items such as four-wheelers by public employees such as yourself that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of any said rule or law on that. I mean,
Okay.
are you asking if my children have rode my four-wheeler? I answered that. Yes, my children have rode that four-wheeler that I have before.
You said my four-wheeler. Is it your four-wheeler?
No, the department.
Okay. All right. So as far as you know, it's fine for you to take confiscated items to your personal residence and allow your children to ride them.
I've answered that question. I mean, I'm not going to say, have I done it? Have I taken them home and kept them for a long period of time? No. Have I kept them when we're out doing something and overnight? Yes. Have I taken them and worked on them and fixed them myself? Yes.
I mean, if Jake Lockhart wanted to pull up the sheriff's department and use the four-wheeler, would he be able to take it home with him and just take it for a weekend somewhere?
No.
Okay. But you can.
I've not done. I don't know that I've ever really naturally done that, but
Okay.
have I had them in my house? Yes. Has other detectives had them at their house? Yes.
Okay. And that's a practice that is currently in effect today, and you don't really plan on changing that rule because you don't think there's anything wrong with it, correct?
Objective form.
Is that correct, Sheriff?
Say that again, please.
The practice of using government confiscated vehicles for sheriff officers' private use is something that is still practiced to this day. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, you've raised my question to it. Am I going to ask my county attorney about it? And yeah, do I need to put a policy in place on it? Probably so.
But before I've asked you this question, it's never crossed your mind to ask Mr. John Lee Williams about that, is it?
No.
Okay. Do you agree that all inmates should be treated the same, Sheriff Davis?
All inmates should be treated the same.
Well, they shouldn't get special privileges or favors over another prisoner or inmate outside of rules that are established for prisoners. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever do the rules allow you to allow prisoners to go home on the weekends? Sometimes is that allowable if somebody's got a continuous term?
Prisoners to go home on the weekend?
Yeah. Prisoners.
I'm not I'm not following what
Okay.
I wouldn't.
If somebody's got a prison term, for example, 6 months or a year, are you allowed to let them go home on the weekends?
And they're serving a prison term. I mean,
Well, at the county jail, I should say, a jail term.
I mean, there has been times when we've taken an inmate to a funeral or something
Sure.
of that nature, but I don't.
Some unique circumstance like that.
Yeah.
Do you ever let detainees at the jail go home to see their children for any reason? Just for that reason alone, nothing special.
Detainees to go see their children?
Yes.
I'm not aware that that's happened.
Okay. Would you agree that it's improper to allow a detainee to go home just because they want to see their children, just for that reason alone?
Again, I'm not aware of that ever happening, Mr. Griffin.
I understand, but my question is, would you agree that it's wrong to allow a detainee to go see their family just because they ask you to do that as a favor?
Okay, yeah, I guess.
You guess?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
the sheriff. I just wonder if you know.
I'm trying to think if there's a situation or there's ever been an incident on that, and I'm not familiar with that.
Okay.
I don't know. There's got to be more to the.
Well, I mean,
Let me object. Are you asking about a furlough? I mean, you're saying something like let go home. Or do you mean a furlough, or do you mean him personally letting somebody go, or what?
what is a furlough? How would you describe what a furlough is?
A furlough is something that's granted for the inmate, whether it's medical or other reasons. I don't.
Okay.
There's hundreds of different reasons, I guess, for furlough.
Okay. Who is Stephanie Overton? Who is that? Do you recognize that?
I know Stephanie.
How do you know Stephanie?
I know that she had been an inmate
Okay.
before.
Did you ever let her go home on weekends to see her children?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. All right. Would you agree that it would be improper for any employee of the Humphreys County Sheriff's Department to have sexual relations with a inmate or a detainee at the Humphreys County Jail facility?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you know anybody in your department, including yourself, that has ever had sexual relations with any inmate at the Humphreys County Jail?
No.
Okay. All right. Have you ever allowed inmates to use your personal cell phone before?
Have I my personal cell phone?
Well, any cell phone in your possession, either one that's personally paid by you or one that's paid for your use by the Humphreys County Sheriff's Department.
There's probably been an interview when we've done interviews or something to that nature that I have.
Okay. Can you tell us the circumstances that when an inmate could use your personal cell phone?
I can't. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you of a situation. You know, has there been a time that I've done an interview and he asked to call home to check on, or an inmate asked to call home and check on somebody or somebody in the hospital? I can't tell you that I haven't done that.
Okay. Have you ever let Stephanie Overton use your private cell phone or your personal cell phone on your person?
I honestly don't remember ever doing that.
Okay.
Can't say that she has, but I don't remember it.
All right. Sheriff, other than your compensation you receive from the Humphreys County Sheriff's Department, do you receive any other source of compensation?
Income?
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay. And Chris, Sheriff, I tell you, you have put your character in issue, and I don't like asking these questions, any that I've asked. I'll just tell you, I don't like them. But you're the one who's claiming that your reputation has been defamed, so I want to apologize to you for getting personal with you. But I hope you understand that it's because of this lawsuit that I'm sitting here today.
Well, I can't help it that he lied.
Okay, all right. I just wanted, between me and you, I just wanted you to have this
He
understanding.
constantly lies, not
Okay.
me.
All right. Well, I just want, between me and you, I just wanted to have that understanding.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
And that's a preface for these next questions, because there's some allegations that you had an improper relationship. I'm not throwing stones here.
I understand.
With someone on some of the company time.
Let me object to the form. What do you mean company time?
Well, I think it's been published. I saw it on the news that Sheriff Davis allegedly had a relationship outside of his marriage with a woman, and there was some possible use of county funds, and during the time that he would normally be on duty.
Wait a minute. Again, I'm going to object to the term normally on duty.
Okay, well, he said he's always on duty.
That's correct.
Okay. So therefore, if he's always on duty, these events happen while he was on duty.
Not necessarily, Counselor, because he can make a decision when he is working and when he's not working.
Okay. Well, that's
And when you make that statement, it's misleading.
that's subject to disagreement. So I'm going to ask him some questions about that, because it's in issue in this case through your lawsuit. So, Sheriff, I will ask you. And again, I don't want to ask these questions, but who is the lady that you allegedly had an improper relationship with?
Kimberly Sensei. Kim Sensei.
And
He knows. He interacts with her.
I'll tell you, he and I, well, it's not been subject of discussion, especially recently, but I will tell you this. Well, let me just ask you. Did you ever see Kimberly Sing Sing at the Humphreys County Jail facility where your office is?
Say that again.
Has she ever been to your office?
Yes.
Has she been inside your office?
Yes.
Okay. What was the purpose of her coming up to see you at your office?
To pick up. There was some material that she come and picked up. I don't remember if it was books or what.
What type of books was it related to? What was the substance of it?
It was some educational, drug educational type books.
What is her job, or what was the necessity for her to pick up that type of material?
Don't have a clue.
Okay. How many times did she come to your office?
Don't have a clue.
More than once?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever have sexual relationships with her at your office? Under oath, I'd ask you that question.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember, Mr. Griffin.
Okay. You can't rule it out. You can't rule it in, correct?
I don't remember.
Okay. If you did have sexual relationships with her at your office, would you agree that you were in the course of conduct of your role as sheriff at the time that those events occurred?
I object to the form.
You can object.
Question.
Fine. You can answer.
Say what you ask what you said. Or
Would
ask the
you
question again.
would you agree that you did have sexual relations with Kimberly Sing Sing in the Humphreys County Sheriff's Office? That would be improper conduct on part of the sheriff of Humphreys County.
I want to reserve the right to ask my counsel.
Okay. That's fine.
Let me object on the grounds that I think what you're asking him is a legal question, because there is a legal question as to whether there's no question the sheriff's on call 24 hours a day. But the sheriff is our position. The sheriff's not on duty 24 hours on days.
Are you
Let me
instructing
state for the record.
I don't care. I don't care what the record is. It's
Counsel-
improper for you to state a speaking objection.
Well,
You're telling him what to say, and
I'm
that's
not telling
improper,
what-
Philip.
I'm not
You know
telling
it.
him what to say.
Hall
What-
versus Clifton Precision 30.03 says it's improper for
what
you to
I'm
do what you're
doing,
doing, and I'm going
counsel-
to request it, and I'm going to seek sanctions.
What I'm doing, counsel, is I'm making sure that he's not asking a misleading question. I want you to clarify it.
Okay.
And we're stating our position about the clarification.
I would. Thank you.
You're asking him a legal question which he can't give an answer to.
Are you aware of any grounds of ethical or legal conduct for which a sheriff having sexual relationships with someone in his office would be unethical? From the sheriff's,
Am I aware of that?
are you aware of any ethical prohibition against having sex with someone inside your office?
I'd like to talk to counsel on understanding that question. I'm
Okay.
not-
All right. What about the courthouse? Have you ever had sexual relationships with anyone outside your marriage in the Humphreys County Courthouse?
Again, I'll reserve the right to talk to counsel on that.
Okay. If you did do those things that you're not going to answer right here on the record, would you agree those are things that damage your reputation in the community and your professional substance, in a professional relationship?
If that, say that again, Johnny. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That was poorly asked, Sheriff. If you did have sexual relationships with persons outside your marriage, either in your sheriff's office or at the courthouse, government facilities, would you agree that those are things that can damage
Are you asking
your
me
professional reputation?
in my personal life?
No, that's not my question. In your professional reputation as sheriff of Humphreys County, if you had sexual relationships with persons in the courthouse or at your office, would you agree those are the things that would damage your professional reputation as sheriff of Humphreys County?
I'll reserve the right to counsel on that.
Okay, that's fine. But if you're damaged, if there is damage to your reputation, I want to know. One of the things I've got to understand is how much worse, if any, that was made by Jake Lockhart. And so that's why I'm asking you again to answer the question, and you can refuse if you so choose.
I reserve the right to counsel on that.
Okay. All right. Do your officers have the responsibility to make reports of incidents that occur?
Yes.
And do they have the responsibility to keep to make accurate notes of things when they occur?
Their reports are their reports. I mean, they're not instructed to keep notes.
Do you review the reports?
I have started that recently.
Okay. But don't you expect your officers to maintain truthful notes when they make notes?
That's their notes. I mean, their notes are their notes.
But they're employees of yours, correct?
Right, that's correct.
And so, can you tell us whether or not you expect them to be truthful when they write their notes?
On their reports, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And you rely upon what they say in their reports, don't you?
Their reports are court records. I mean, if they're going to court on a report, yeah.
And you wouldn't want to rely on anything that's false, would you?
I would hope not.
Okay. And if you rely on it, then it's reasonable for other people outside of the sheriff's department to rely upon it, don't you think?
Correct.
And if somebody relies upon those notes, and they refer to those notes, well, that's not a good question either. Let's talk about the Deering Ring incident for a second, okay?
Sure.
Because that's the main reason that we're here, I think.
Sure.
As I understand it, you allege that you were not at the scene that night, correct?
I did show up on the scene that night.
Okay, you did.
I did.
Do you know at what point of the altercation, let's say, that you showed up at the scene?
Mr. Ring was in the Backseat of the patrol car when I arrived on the scene.
Okay. And how do we know? How would we know that?
There's video footage of that.
Well, how does the video show? Does the video show when you first arrive?
It's consistent with the radio traffic.
Does the video show?
Video shows me walking up onto the scene.
Okay. Would you agree that the video doesn't show you pulling up at the scene, does it?
It does show me pulling up at the scene. You can see my headlights pulling into the...
Okay. But to somebody that's doesn't know your headlights, they wouldn't, just from the headlights, they don't know that those are Chris Davis
You
headlights.
can hear me... I'm sorry, ma'am. You can hear me on the radio checking onto the scene. You can see my headlights, and you see me walking into the car.
Okay.
I mean, walking into the scene.
But from the video alone, you don't know you don't know those are Chris Davis headlights when you pull up, just from the video alone, do you?
You would make the assumption because of the radio traffic and then me getting out of the car and walking onto the scene.
Okay. Do you ever see your face on the video,
Yes, you see my entire body.
including your face?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Would you agree that the video only shows a certain degree angle? It doesn't show 180 degrees or 360 degrees. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So the things that happen behind the video that you can't see, correct?
I guess that would be correct.
And what angle is it that it shows? Do you know? Is there a standard angle, or do you have any idea what angle it shows?
Depends on which camera you're looking at.
Okay. Was there more than one video camera that night?
There was.
Have you seen other videos other than the one that's been displayed on TV?
I have.
Okay. Do you have it?
I've got my copy of it.
Where do you keep it?
I don't know if it's. I'd have to find it, Mr. Griffith. I don't know. I'd have to find my file. I'd have to find my file on it.
Have you ever shown it to TBI?
They've got it. They've got all the copies of all the cars.
Okay. If that's something I sent you a request for, that's something that you could provide to me?
The video that shows me on the scene is a Waverly patrol car video.
Okay. The video where's the other video perspective from? Whose camera was that?
I don't know if it was Fortner's or Parnell's.
Okay. Has that been released to the media, to your knowledge?
Not that I don't know that. To the media?
Have you seen it on TV at all?
No.
Because the only one I've seen being involved in the case is
Our patrol car video.
Yeah.
No, there's other videos to that.
Okay. And you have at least one of them.
That's correct.
Is there more than one?
I mean, I've got my copy.
I mean, how many other cameras are there?
Well, I'm assuming that Fortner and Parnell both would have video footage.
So we're talking 3 total? 3 different videos total?
I don't know if, this Hedge, I don't know if Hedge, Hedge, Benji, McCord, I don't know the status of those 3 cameras.
Okay.
But there should have been, if I'm not mistaken, there should have been 5 different cameras. Those 3, if they all in fact had cameras, and then the 2 city officers.
Okay. Have you ever shown your video to anyone?
My video?
The one that you said it was in your car? Or did you have one in your car?
No.
Okay. Which video you said you had in your possession that you said there was another one?
The one showing me when I got on the scene.
Okay. Is that the city video, or is that a different one?
That would be off one of the city patrol cars.
The one that's been all over the news? The main one? I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I'm sorry.
No, that particular video I guess come from one of either McCord or Lee's car. I don't know which car it come from.
Does the Humphreys County Sheriff's Department possess any of those videos? How many videos does the Humphreys County Sheriff's Department possess?
I would have to look at
But more than one.
when you're saying the videos, you're talking about the
Different perspectives. I'm not talking about copies.
I'm with you on that. I don't know the status of Lee and McCord. Of Lee and Hedges' cameras from that night.
Okay.
I don't know if they in fact had cameras. They should be 3 different videos or a video with an audio.
Okay. But McCord's video is the one that I think has been on the news quite a bit.
I'm assuming that.
Okay. Are you on McCord's video?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm on the very end of his or not.
I'll just tell you, I've reviewed it. I don't recall seeing you. That doesn't mean you're not on there. But have you ever seen yourself on McCord's video?
I don't know that I've ever looked at the part afterwards.
Okay. All right. All right. Sheriff, Tim Hedge was an employee of yours on January 27th, 2011, correct?
Say that again, please. Hedge being a...
Was Tim Hedge an employee of yours?
Yes, sir.
Of Humphreys County Sheriff's Department?
Yes, sir.
I've asked you to read this before, Sheriff, but I want to ask you, this is the Humphreys County Sheriff's Office Supplemental Narrative Report. Do you see that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, I'd like to ask you to start to read right here, this paragraph, the second one from the bottom, if you would, please, sir, and read that full paragraph.
While we were waiting on the Waverly units to arrive, we had a brief period of time that Darren was apparently catching his second wind but was still struggling with us. Several more strikes to Darren's ribs and legs were made, and each time he was told to stop resisting. By the time we were starting to wear down ourselves, and the Waverly officers got to the scene.
Okay. All right. And that's Hedges' report, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Now, read the next 2 sentences, please, sir.
Officer Parnell came to our aid along with Officer Fortner, and shortly afterward the sheriff showed up.
Okay. Is that reporting correct?
Officer Parnell came to our aid along with Officer Fortner, and shortly after the sheriff showed up. I'm assuming that would be correct.
All right. What's the next sentence after that, please?
I told Darren to stop resisting or he would be tased, and he was still combative.
All right. And then go ahead and keep reading, please, sir.
I pulled back off of Darren to allow Parnell to administer the taser. The shot hit him in the abdomen area and began tasing.
Would you agree that, at least in that narrative, that the way it's presented by Deputy Hedge, that it could be construed reasonably that you showed up before Darren Ring was tased?
Could I look at that and say that?
Yes, sir.
Me, knowing the situation?
No, just if you were an independent person, you'd never been there that night, could you see...
I can't tell you what somebody's going to make the assumption of.
Would it be wrong for somebody to make an assumption, not being there that night, that you arrived before Darren Ring was tased?
By looking at this sentence?
Yes, sir.
I could understand that.
Okay. All right. I want to make that the first exhibit, please. Do you have any knowledge of whether or not Jake Lockhart relied upon Deputy Hedges' statement for any allegations that he made of you being at the scene before Darren Ring was tased?
He had his office, since Ring appeared in court within 10 days, had the information and knowledge of the case.
Okay. Including Hedges' report.
Including Hedges' report.
And that's dated January 28th, one day after this incident occurred, correct?
Should be. That's probably correct.
Okay. So, do you have any knowledge that Jake Lockhart let me ask it a different way. If Jake Lockhart says that he saw this report that we just made Exhibit 1 and he relied upon it, would you have any reason to disagree with that?
Yes, I would, because he not only did he looked at that, he also asked me on the phone if I was on the scene.
Okay. Did you tell him you were on the scene?
I told him that I was not there during the altercation.
Okay. Did anybody hear that phone call, or was it just you and Jake?
I don't recall. I don't.
So basically, if Jake recalls or says that you said you were at the scene without a qualifier, would you have any reason to disagree with that?
If he said that I never had that conversation with him?
No. If he said that you just said you were out there at the scene and you know what happened, do you have any reason to disagree with that?
One more time.
If Mr. Lockhart says that he had a conversation with you by phone and that you said you were out there at the scene, would you have any reason to disagree with that?
Yes.
Okay, tell me why.
Because I told him when I got there. I told him that I got there when he was in the back of the car.
Okay. Okay, what else did you tell me about this conversation that you had with Jake? Did he initiate the phone call?
He did.
And what was the purpose of him?
Let me clarify that. If I'm not mistaken, he come to the office. I was doing something. He left. He called. I missed him, and if I'm not mistaken, I called him back.
Okay. And then tell me everything that you remember about this conversation, please, sir.
It was a very short conversation. He made some demands during that conversation.
Such as?
Reference to the guys. I made the comment, "What have they done?"
And what was his response? If you remember.
I made the comment, "What have they done?" I don't remember exactly how it was said. He said something about not being happy that he had contacted the DA's office or was going to contact the DA's office about the ring incident. And just a couple more comments were made, and that's about it.
Okay. Do you know approximately when that phone call was made, Sheriff?
I do not.
Was it shortly after this ring incident occurred? Or was it a while after?
No, it was on up in July. I mean, it was somewhere.
Okay. What was the demands you said that, if any, that Jake made of you at that time?
Something to do about the guys. He made reference to some demands about the guys.
You mean, the sheriff's deputies?
The deputies.
Okay. Did he feel that they had been cruel to Darren Ring?
I don't remember exactly. I know there was demands regarding the guys. Johnny, I mean, Mr. Griffith, I don't know. I don't recall exactly what those demands were.
Was during that before that phone call was made, Sheriff, had Jake Lockhart ever done anything to you personally that you found offensive?
Not that I remember.
Okay. When he called you, did he appear to have a genuine concern for the well-being and the incident? When he called you this time we're talking about in July or approximately July, did he appear to have a genuine concern for what had happened to Darren Ring?
He was more angry at the officers.
Okay. For what they had done to Darren Ring?
I can't say that. I know he was upset at the officers.
Okay. Did you find it unusual that he would come to you first to try to ask certain things be done to these officers?
Did I find it unusual?
Yes, sir. Or reasonable? How would you describe it if I ask you
I've
to
never
describe
been in that situation before.
Okay. Before he contacted you before he went to Dan Alsbrook's, correct?
I think he had told me that he had a call in to the DA's office.
And he contacted you before he went to the media, correct?
Just
to your best of your knowledge.
Just with that phone call.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I think in that phone call that he stated that he was going to the media.
Unless what?
I don't remember them saying unless.
All right. My point is, did he, to your knowledge, did he try to work it out with you directly before anything else got blown up?
I don't
Check,
remember
check
that.
to the form.
Okay. All right. Do you know that Jake Lockhart had the audio prior to, well, in July when he called you?
Did he have the audio?
Yes, sir.
He should have had everything when when Lance went through the 10-day hearing. They should have had everything then,
Okay. All right.
all the reports and everything.
Do you have I know I've asked you this in your turn, Jake, but I just want to make sure I'm clear. What information do you have other than the audio and the video that Jake Lockhart knew that you arrived after Darren Ring was tased and put in the car? Is there any other information that you have that you say Jake Lockhart knew in his mind that you weren't there at the time of the beating and tasing?
Radio. You had the radio traffic, the complaint of the complaint card from the incident. Complaint card from the incident. You had the radio traffic. Had the video traffic.
Anything else other than those things?
No.
What makes you think that Jake, assuming that you're accurate, that you got there after the beating, what grounds do you have that Jake Lockhart willfully and maliciously made any statements that you were at the scene at the time of the beating?
Check to the form.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I may need some help from the court reporter on that. Can you read that back for me, Roxanne? And just listen to her question, please.
What makes you think that Jake, assuming that you're accurate, that you got there after the beating, what grounds do you have that Jake Lockhart willfully and maliciously made any statements that you were at the scene at the time of the beating?
That I was at the scene.
Yes.
Say,
I'll do it. I'll do it. Let me. What information do you have that Jake Lockhart knew
Okay, I'm with you.
that you didn't come up here, didn't get to the scene until after the beating, and that he willfully and maliciously says that you did, and said that about you?
He posted it. I mean, he posted it on Facebook. He posted it other places. Now, my understanding is that you're asking me what information do I have that
he lied, that he was being intentionally dishonest when he put that.
I guess not.
Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about this cell.
Let me
Cell
also,
beta.
I want to object to the form.
You
of the
can
question.
object to the
Requires
form.
him to also that requires him to come to a legal conclusion.
Okay. Now, the cell incident that you had, when did you go into the cell of Darren Ring?
Let me also object to the form of relevance. In this case, that's not been pled in the complaint.
Well, he testified to it, Counselor, so I'm going to ask him all about it. Tell me did you go into Darren Ring's cell that evening?
I'm going to refer to counsel on any questions that you have regarding that.
All right, that's fine. You remember earlier that we went over 2 reasons for which you're basing your complaint on, correct? Do you remember that?
And they were, go ahead.
Well, I wrote them down. You correct me if I'm wrong. The first one was misrepresentations that you were at the scene at the time of the tasing and beating intentionally. intentionally stating that you were there.
Okay.
And number two, that you were in the cell and took inappropriate actions in the cell where Darren Ring was after this beating. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but that's not part of the complaint.
Okay, you're not going to ask a jury to award you damages for that then, are you?
I think the misrepresentation goes back to just the original complaint that was filed.
Okay, all right. Just so I'm clear, as we sit here today, as I'm taking your deposition under oath, if we go to trial, you're not going to claim that your professional reputation has been damaged or harmed because of any allegations Jake Lockhart made about you taking inappropriate actions in a jail cell with Darren Ring.
What? Let me enter objection on the grounds of your question. You're asking him to. You're asking him to make a legal conclusion there. The complaint speaks for itself.
Okay. With your attorney telling you how to answer that, I want you to go ahead and answer the question, please, sir.
I want to reply. I want to depend on this complaint.
Okay.
On what my.
And Sheriff, the reason I'm asking you that is because your attorney can tell you this. You can amend the complaint to change it. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons that we have these face-to-face meetings, so I can talk to you about it.
Absolutely.
And when I talked to you about it, you talked about all the items in the complaint, which we've gone over largely. Correct. And then you mentioned another thing. And so I just want to know, I'm not asking you for a legal conclusion. I just want to ask you this. Do you think your reputation has been hurt by Jake Lockhart saying anything or publishing anything or putting anything on Facebook or any statements to anybody whatsoever about inappropriate actions you took in a jail cell?
I'm going to object to the form of that too.
Okay.
Based on relevance.
Well, you don't have to answer. Now's my time to know, and if you don't, then we'll just ask the court to dismiss any claims on that ground. I just want to know.
What? Again, I'm going to object to the form of the question.
Mm-hmm. Are you making any claims that Jake Lockhart? Okay, let me just finish it, Sheriff, if you don't mind. Are you making any claims that Jake Lockhart made hurt your reputation professionally because of inappropriate actions you took allegedly in a jail cell with Darren Ring?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'll move on. Sheriff, in your complaint, you have asked for damages. You've asked for money to be paid by Jake Lockhart, correct? It's under page 2, paragraph 2.
Compensatory damages in the amount that will be compensating him for the damages he has suffered.
Okay. And I imagine when you go to trial, in this case, for a jury of 12 peers in Humphreys County, you're going to tell him how you've been harmed. I would suspect that you would do that, wouldn't you?
Say that again?
Well, when we go to trial in this case, what are you going to tell the jury that how you've been harmed? How are you going to tell them you've been harmed?
How his actions have been malicious, and that what he's done is not, or what he has said and what he's done and how he's portrayed it is not the truth.
Okay. Do you know how much you're going to be asking for?
I'd like to reserve that to speak with counsel about that.
Okay. You hadn't thought about that for today, really, have you?
No.
Okay. Tell us, in your life, as you live it, how you've been harmed. How do you know that this has harmed you? Anything Jake Lockhart allegedly said, how has it harmed your reputation?
How has it harmed?
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's portrayed me as, in his words, a jackboot thug.
Okay. Has he said that before?
He has.
Okay. All right. Well, has anybody, to your knowledge, said that that's harmed your reputation, or do you have anybody that says that's harmed your reputation?
Yeah, put it all in a bad light.
Who has said that? Is there anybody that said that about that Jake Lockhart has hurt your reputation or brought it to your attention?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who?
Well, numerous law enforcement officers have. I mean, it's just
Guys that work for you?
not necessarily that work for me. Different areas, different departments. Like, what's his problem? What's his deal? Why is he saying this? And yeah, it's put me in a bad light.
Do you have any witnesses that you plan on calling that are going to substantiate your claims that your reputation's been damaged?
Object to the form.
You can answer.
I'd like to reserve that with counsel if possible.
Okay. Well, can you name one person? Let's just start with one person who's a witness that your reputation's been harmed. I want to make a list. Who is that?
I reserve the right to seek counsel or talk with counsel on that.
Okay. All right. Well, this is not a criminal trial,
I understand
Sheriff,
that.
and you really don't have the right to not answer my question. So, I'm asking for witnesses. I'm not asking for anything that would lead to any criminal conviction. Would you agree with me on that?
I'd just like to reserve the right to talk with counsel about it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask you one more time under oath, and I want you to look at that camera. Or you don't have to look at the camera. And I just want you to tell me one person that's going to be a witness for you in this, in your claims for damages.
Let me object to the form. It's an improper question.
Why?
Because counsel well knows that we don't have to produce a witness list for trial until prior to trial.
You've got to cooperate in discovery, counselor.
Well, we are cooperating. Are you asking him to identify everybody that got a copy of this email across the internet? He has no way of knowing that.
I want to know people that you know that say your reputation has been harmed, Sheriff. I'm sure you've got 10 waiting at the bid. I just need to know who they are. And I'll start with one. And can you tell me your answer, please?
I'd just like to reserve the right to counsel.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you, what in the community, what type of civic groups are you involved in? Rotary, things like that, Elks, what?
Civic, well, I mean, am I directly involved in? I mean, as far as being a member of,
Directly in.
Do I help with the ballparks? Yeah, I help with the ballparks. Do I help with sit on the board with the senior citizens? I sit in the